Hello, lovely people, and welcome back to the Be Yourself Unapologetically podcast. Today, we're diving into something that still hurts, even years after school is over: nerds versus the popular crowd, and the quiet, brutal way clever kids get pushed, mocked, and worn down until they break. If you were ever the teacher's pet, the kid with the book in the playground, the one who loves science, coding, anime, chess, Dungeons and Dragons, or just genuinely cared about learning, this one is for you. And if you were one of the popular kids, or maybe still carry that role now in your adult friendship groups or workplace, this is for you too, because we can all do better. Today we're talking about why nerds get targeted, how peer pressure keeps the bullying going, what actually happens when clever kids are shamed until they shut down, and why those same nerds quietly make the world a better place every single day. So grab a cuppa, get comfy, and let's get into it. So what do we even mean by nerd? Let's start by reclaiming a word that's been used like a weapon: nerd. When people say nerd, they usually mean someone who loves learning or is very good at something uncool. Someone who's deeply passionate about a topic, whether it's maths, science, coding, gaming, reading, art, music, history, languages, comics, you name it. Someone who maybe dresses differently, talks differently, or doesn't follow the script of what's in. But underneath that label is something beautiful: curiosity, focus, creativity, obsession in the best possible way. Nerds are the people who light up when they talk about something they love. They're the ones who stay behind after class to ask more questions. They're the ones who build worlds in their heads, invent games, write stories, hack together little projects just because they can. The problem isn't the nerd, the problem is how the world responds to them. Because in so many schools, friendship groups, and sadly even workplaces, being clever, being passionate, being different gets you marked as a target. The unwritten rules of popularity. Think back to school for a second. You walk into the playground or the cafeteria, you can feel the social rules, even if nobody ever says them out loud. There's usually a popular group. They decide what clothes are acceptable, what music is cool, what hobbies are allowed, how much you're allowed to care about schoolwork before it's cringe. If you want to survive socially, the message is clear. Don't be too clever. Don't put your hand up too much. Don't use long words. Don't show that you're interested in something weird. Laugh along when clever kids get mocked, because otherwise you might be next. That's peer pressure. It's subtle sometimes: an eye roll, a smirk, a whisper, a group chat screenshot. Sometimes it's loud, shouting nerd across the corridor, knocking books out of hands, copying homework and then mocking the person they stole it from. And here's the messed up bit. The popular group often has no idea how much power they hold. To them, it might just be banter, but to the kid on the receiving end, it can be the start of years of self-doubt. How nerds get bullied until they break. Let's talk about what this actually looks like, because it isn't always big, dramatic, movie-style bullying. Often it's a drip, drip, drip every single day. It can look like people copying the nerd's work, then publicly calling them a try-hard or a SWAT. Group projects where one clever kid does everything while everyone else takes the credit and still laughs at them. Being excluded from parties, group chat, games, simply because they're too much or too intense about their interests. Teachers joking, well, we know who will have the answer, and the whole class turning and groaning. Rumours that the nerd is weird, arrogant, stuck up, when actually they're just shy, autistic, ADHD, introverted, anxious, or simply deep. Over time, this constant message sinks in. Being clever makes you unlovable. Being passionate makes you embarrassing. Being yourself is dangerous. And then the breaking starts. The breaking is often quiet. It's not always a big meltdown in the corridor. Sometimes it's a slow shutting down. The kid who used to love putting their hand up stops answering questions. The child who read 3 books a week suddenly forgets their book every day. The teen who dreamed of being an engineer slacks off in maths so people stop calling them a nerd. The bright young person who used to talk about space or coding or poetry shrinks their vocabulary so they don't stand out. On the outside, adults might say, "Oh, they've just gone lazy." On the inside, that young person is thinking, "If I dim my light, maybe they'll leave me alone." Some start masking, pretending to be someone they're not, constantly watching themselves, editing their behaviour, their interests, their clothes, their voice, just to survive. And that level of constant self-monitoring is exhausting. It can lead to anxiety, burnout, depression, and feeling like you have to disappear in order to be safe. And if you're listening to this and thinking, "That was me," or "That is me," I want you to take a breath right now. There is nothing wrong with you for being clever, curious, or passionate. The problem was never you. The problem was the environment that shamed you for being bright. The myth of the deserving clever kid. There's another layer to this that doesn't get talked about enough. Clever kids are often told, "You'll be fine, you're smart. You've got good grades, what are you complaining about? You're the one who'll end up rich, they'll be working for you one day." On the surface, that sounds like reassurance, but what it actually does is dismiss their pain. It sends this message: your feelings don't count because your marks are good. Bullying doesn't matter because you're clever. You should just toughen up and be grateful you're bright. So when nerds get bullied, excluded, mocked, or used for their brain, they often get told to ignore it, rise above it, or take it as a compliment. And that is so wrong. Being clever doesn't mean you don't get lonely, you don't need friends, you don't deserve kindness. You're automatically confident and resilient and bulletproof. Brains don't cancel out feelings. You can be gifted and vulnerable. You can be top of the class and deeply lonely. The reality: nerds make the world better. So now let's flip this. Look around your life for a second. The phone or device you're listening on, the internet that delivers this podcast, the medicine that keeps you healthy, the engineering that keeps bridges standing, planes flying and cars running, the games, the books, the films, the music, the apps and the tech that fill your free time. Who made all that? Not the girls who spent school laughing at anyone who liked science. Not the ones who made fun of the quiet girl who liked coding. Not the ones who mocked the boy who loved reading or the non-binary kid who obsessed over astronomy. It was the nerds. The kids who stayed after class. The ones who joined the robotics club. The ones who doodled inventions in the margins of their exercise books. The one who wrote fan fiction at 2 a.m. or hacked together their first website as teenagers. Nerds grow up to be scientists, doctors, nurses, surgeons, lab technicians, software engineers, cybersecurity experts, game designers, writers, artists, animators, film editors, musicians, teachers, lecturers, researchers, historians, inventors, entrepreneurs, problem solvers in every field. They are the people who ask, how can we make this better? And they actually do it. So when we shame clever kids, we're not just hurting individual hearts, we're damaging the very people who have the potential to cure diseases, design greener energy, create better technology, write powerful stories, or build more compassionate systems. We tell them you're too much, and then years later we complain that the world doesn't have enough innovation or empathy. Why shaming clever people is so harmful? Let's talk about why this shaming is so poisonous. It teaches kids to hide their gifts. When being clever gets you bullied, many kids learn to shrink, sabotage their own work, or pretend to be less capable. That's a tragic loss of potential for them and for all of us. It turns learning into something shameful. Instead of school being a place of curiosity, it becomes a stage where you have to perform coolness and hide your actual interests. That kills creativity and genuine engagement. It breaks self-worth. If every time you show your real self, people laugh, roll their eyes, or leave you out, you start to believe your true self is unlovable, and that can echo for decades. It isolates the very kids who might already feel different. Many neurodivergent young people, autistic, ADHD, gifted, PDA, twice exceptional, find comfort in special interests and deep learning. When those interests are mocked, they lose one of their safe places. It trains popular kids to misuse power. Being popular isn't evil. The problem is when that social power is used to exclude, punish, and humiliate others. If that's never challenged, those patterns can carry into adulthood, workplaces, friendships, parenting, even leadership roles. We have to be honest. Shaming clever people is not just harmless banter. It's emotional abuse dressed up as a joke. And just because it's common doesn't make it acceptable. To the nerds listening, you are not the problem. I want to speak directly to the nerds for a moment. The bookwords, the coders, the science kids, the artists, musicians, cartoonists, drama geeks, the ones who hyper-focus on a topic and forget to eat, the ones who feel too intense and too deep and too much. You are not broken for caring. You are not embarrassing for being clever. You are not weird for loving something with your whole heart. If the people around you made you feel small, that says everything about their insecurity and nothing about your worth. You are allowed to. Keep loving the things you love. Ask big questions. Use big words. Get excited. Correct the maths. Write the long fan fiction. Build the Lego city that takes over the living room. Spend hours coding or drawing or reading because it lights you up. And you are expected to be respected. You are allowed to expect respect. Not worship, not pedestal, just basic, decent respect. If you are still in school and it feels unbearable, please know school is not the whole world. There are people out here who will love you exactly as you are. There are online communities, clubs, fandoms, societies, and future friends waiting who will think your nerdiness is the best thing about you. And if the bullying or isolation is affecting your mental health, you deserve support. Talking to a trusted adult, a counsellor, a GP, a helpline, that's not weakness, it's strength. You don't have to carry everything alone. And to the popular kid and bystanders, use your power well. Now I want to talk to anyone who was or is part of the popular crowd, or who finds themselves as a bystander. Maybe you never threw a punch or sent a nasty message, but did you laugh? Did you stand there and say something while someone clever was humiliated? Did you join in with the jokes? Did you free someone out of the group chat? This isn't about wallowing in guilt. It's about recognising the power you had and still have. If you're still in school or college right now, here's the truth. You get to decide what your popularity means. You can use it to include people instead of excluding them. Shut down nasty comments with a simple "that's not funny." Invite the quiet kid to join your group at lunch. Back up the clever kid in class instead of rolling your eyes. Being kind doesn't make you uncool. It actually makes you a leader. And if you're listening as an adult, maybe you've grown a lot since school. Maybe you cringe when you think about how you treated people. But you are allowed to change. You are allowed to message someone and say, "Hey, I've been thinking about how we acted at school. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve that." You're allowed to raise your kids differently, to show them the kindness beats popularity every single time. For parents, carers and teachers. If you're a parent, carer or teacher listening to this, you have such a powerful role. Here are a few things that really help nerdy kids feel seen. Notice their passions and take them seriously. If a child loves dinosaurs, coding, astronomy, anime, baking, history, trains, whatever it is, treat that interest as valid and important. Ask questions, provide books, kits, videos where you can. Praise effort, not just outcomes. Don't only celebrate the top grade, celebrate the curiosity, the perseverance, the creativity. That way, they learn their worth isn't just in being the clever one. Watch out for subtle bullying. It's not always name calling. It can be sighs when they speak, eye rolls, group work, exclusion, online jokes at their expense. Believe them when they say something feels off. They are often told that they're just imagining it, and you are not seeing the subtle signs that somebody who is neurodiverse picks up on every single time. Challenge the too clever narrative. When you hear teacher's pet, know it all, try hard, pause and reframe it. They're passionate, they enjoy learning, they're putting in effort. That language shift matters. Create spaces where nerdy is normal. Clubs, lunchtime groups, online communities, supervised for safety. Places where kids who love learning can find each other and realise they're not alone. Model respect for expertise. Let your kids see you valuing clever people, scientists, authors, engineers, teachers, technicians, carers, not just celebrities and influencers. Talk about the people behind the technology and the medicine that we rely on. When adults honour the nerds, it sends a powerful message. Your brain is brilliant, your passion is welcome, your difference is needed. Rewriting the story. So where do we go from here? If you were the nerd who broke under pressure, the one who stopped trying, stopped shining, stopped speaking up, I want you to rewrite the story. I want to invite you to rewrite the story. It might look like Picking up a hobby you abandoned because people mocked you. Allowing yourself to read the books you love without calling it cringe. Signing up for that course, workshop or club that your inner teenager still wants to try. Letting yourself answer questions in meetings, share ideas, push projects without shrinking first. You're allowed to come back to yourself. You're allowed to rebuild the parts of you that other people try to tear down. And if you were part of the crowd that laughed at nerds, you can rewrite your story too, by being the person who speaks up against bullying now, by celebrating cleverness in your friends, your colleagues, your kids, by refusing to treat intelligence as a punchline. Imagine a world where the popular thing is to be kind. The funny thing is to include people, not humiliate them. The cool thing is to care deeply about something and say, wow, tell me more, when someone lights up about their special interest. That's not naive, that's culture change, and it starts with conversations like this. A reminder to every nerd out there, before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a few affirmations. If it feels safe, you can even repeat them quietly to yourself. My curiosity is a strength, not a flaw. I am allowed to be clever and still need kindness. I don't have to dim my light to make other people comfortable. The things I love are valid, even if other people don't understand them. The world is better when I show up as my full, nerdy self. Nerds make the world a better place, not because they're better people, but because they dare to dive deep, to solve problems, to create art, to imagine new futures. They deserve recognition, they deserve safety, they deserve to exist without being shamed for their brains. If today's episode resonated with you, share it with a former classmate, a teenager in your life, a teacher, a parent, anyone who needs a reminder that clever kids are not the enemy, they are the future. Thank you for spending this time with me, for listening with an open heart, and for being exactly who you are, nerdy, popular, somewhere in between, or still figuring it out. You are worthy, you are needed, and the world is better with you in it. Until next time, take care of your brilliant brain, be kind to the nerds, including the one inside yourself, and I'll speak to you in the next episode.